Hello, Tributes, and welcome to the 74th Hunger Games. Now, before I start, I wrote this one instead of my writer writing this one because my writer didn't have any idea how he was gonna incorporate Primrose Everdeen into this. So, this writing is probably not gonna be as good as future writing in future games. So, I just wanted to warn y'all right off the bat that that is what was happening. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. District 12 has always been the poorest district in all of Panem. It's also been known as the worst district in terms of Hunger Games performance. Primrose Everdeen is the youngest child of a widowed mother. She has an older sister named Katniss. Katniss had made a promise to Primrose that if Primrose was reaped, she'd volunteer for her. However, as the reaping drew ever closer, Katniss started to get scared. This is when Gale made a promise to Katniss. The promise was that if Katniss didn't volunteer for Primrose, Gale would volunteer to keep Primrose safe. Reaping. Primrose, Katniss, and Gale walked to the reaping square together. Effie walked onto the stage and all went silent as she started the reaping by playing a video talking about why the Hunger Games started. When the video was done, Effie walked over to the female reaping bowl and read out the name Primrose Everdeen. Primrose's heart stopped as she slowly walked out into the aisle. All she could think of was the promise that Katniss made to her. She was hoping Katniss didn't forget, but as she got halfway up the stairs onto the stage, the truth hit Primrose like a train, and she fainted and was carried onto the stage by peacekeepers. Effie went over to the male reaping bowl and picked out a piece of paper and started to read the name. PETA. Then she heard something from the back of the male enclosure. A volunteer's tribute. Katniss may have forgotten her promise, but Gale hadn't. As Gale walked up onto the stage, Primrose was just starting to regain consciousness. But when Primrose saw Gale on the stage next to her, she went unconscious again. After Effie announced Primrose and Gale as this year's tributes for District 12, they were taken into the holding rooms. Primrose was visited by Katniss. Primrose immediately surprised Katniss by snapping at her. "Why didn't you volunteer?" Primrose asked with tears in her eyes. "I got scared. I'm sorry." Katniss tried to calm Primrose down, but to no avail. After one more failed attempt, Katniss left the room while Primrose cried. After a few more minutes, Primrose and Gale were taken to the train. Immediately, Primrose asked Gale why he volunteered. "I wanted to keep you safe. I wanted you to return home to your mom. You're the only person that can truly take care of her." Gale replied with a smile as Haymitch and Effie entered the train cabin. When they entered, Haymitch was very clearly under the influence. He didn't want to talk to Gale and Primrose. Effie did most of the talking and engaged the most with the duo of tributes. On the second day of their journey to the capital, Effie decided to show them some Hunger Games replays to teach this duo some of the things the victors did to win, and hoped they'd learn what not to do by watching some replays of District 12 losses. When they arrived at the capital, the first person to exit the train was Effie, followed shortly by Haymitch, then Gale, then Primrose. When Gale exited the train, a lot of capital females were in awe over how attractive he was. A lot of the girls took pictures with Gale. When Primrose exited the train, younger capital men tried to flirt with her. She giggled and blushed at some of the compliments being given to her by these young men. Training. The next day, the training started. Immediately, the careers, especially Clove, tried chatting Gale up to get him to join the career alliance. Gale said he'd join only if Primrose could join too. Meanwhile, Primrose was in the survival station trying to start a fire. She was eventually approached by Rue from 11. Rue helped Primrose, and they started to form a friendship between each other. Rue and Primrose decided to ally together. Gale went to Primrose and Rue and asked to join them. Shouldn't you be with the careers? Rue asked Gale. Go ahead, Gale. I'm gonna die anyways, Primrose said to Gale. Gale looked over at the careers, and Clove did catch his eye. Fine, if you want to be rude about it. Gale walked back over to the careers and accepted their offer. Bloodbath. Primrose was lifted into the arena, and all she could see was forest all around her. Primrose was right in between Kato from 2 and Thresh from 11. Rue was across the cornucopia from Prim. They had come up with a plan to run away from the cornucopia together, and they weren't gonna let this stop them. When the gong sounded, Rue and Prim immediately ran to each other and then ran into the forest, not looking back. They ran for a few minutes until they came to a tree. The duo climbed this tree and stayed up there until nighttime. Prim and Rue talked about their home lives. Both of them were awfully poor and weren't happy about their situation they were in at the moment. Day 1. Soon they heard voices coming from under them. Prim recognized one of the voices right away. It was Gale and the careers. Prim and Rue tried their best to hide from the group that was under them. It soon became evident that the group wasn't looking for them, however. They looked over at the tree next to them and saw the girl from 7. She looked so terrified as she also looked down at the careers. After a few seconds of the girls looking at the girl from 7, they saw a spear go through her neck. She then fell out of the tree, much to the terror and shock of Prim and Rue. After witnessing what just happened, Prim and Rue clung to each other as they hid. Eventually, the careers left the area, and the girls looked down from the tree. After deciding that it was safe, Prim and Rue climbed down the tree. Night 1. After that terrifying event, the Horn of Plenty sounded, and 10 cannons went off. The boy and girl from 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 were already dead. It was just the careers, the boys and girls from 8, 9, and 10, and then her, Thresh, Gale, and Rue. Soon, Rue and Primrose heard 3 cannons. These cannons were shown to be the boy from 8, the girl from 8, and the girl from 9, after the careers had found them and killed them. Rue and Primrose were still terrified. Day 2. Rue and Primrose decided to explore the arena. They eventually made it to the careers campsite, which was around the cornucopia. Rue and Primrose left the tree line and entered the cornucopia clearing. They explored the careers campsite, and every now and then they heard cannons. These cannons, they heard, belonged to the boy from 9, the girl from 10, and the boy from 10, leaving just the girls, Thresh, and the careers. Soon, when neither one of the girls were looking, the careers came into the clearing. The girls looked at the careers as Thresh came into the clearing at the other side. Knowing what was gonna happen to the girls, Thresh started to run to them. But he was too late. Marvel threw a spear towards Rue, but Primrose dove in front of the spear, and the spear went into Prim's stomach as she fell to the ground. Gale screamed and killed Marvel before being very easily overwhelmed and needed to run. Thresh ran away with Rue while Gale ran in the other direction. Glimmer shot a bow and arrow at Thresh, though, killing him. Rue screamed as she continued to run. The couriers then ran after Gale. Night 2. Gale darted through the forest until he found a thick tree. He slid against the grass and hid behind the tree as the couriers ran past. Gale then waited a while before getting out from behind the tree. When he left the tree, he heard a couple cannons. These cannons were shown to be Glimmer from 1 and Rue from 11. After the couriers found Rue and killed her. Now it was just Kato from 2, Clove from 2, and Gale from 12. The tributes started to hear Wolfmuts. Gale ran to the cornucopia while Wolfmuts chased after him. As for Kato and Clove, they too ran to the cornucopia with Wolfmuts hot on their tails. Gale got to the cornucopia first and climbed up on top of it, with Kato and Clove arriving a few seconds later and climbing on top of the cornucopia. Gale prepared to fight Kato and Clove. He ran to Kato, and all Kato had to do was just step to the side, and Gale fell off the cornucopia, getting killed by the Wolfmuts. After this, it was just Kato and Clove remaining. "I don't want to fight you," Kato said to Clove. "I don't want to fight either, but we have to," Clove replied. "Or not. We could give them a victor without fighting," Kato said to Clove, stepping towards the edge of the cornucopia. "What are you doing, Kato?" Clove asked Kato. "Giving you the win," Kato said before stepping off the cornucopia and falling down to the ground, and he was killed by the Wolfmuts. Clove fell to her knees and cried over Kato, and a hovercraft came into the arena to get her. Oh my god. There we go. After the games, Clove returned home where she was loved by her fellow District 2 citizens. Clove went home to her older sister and her parents, who congratulated Clove for her victory, although Clove wasn't in a very celebratory mood. Meanwhile, in District 13, uprisings started to occur. These uprisings were led by President Al McCoy. Peacekeepers easily overpowered the District 13 rebels, and District 13 was officially forced to compete in the Hunger Games. The 75th Hunger Games would be their first time competing in the games. To make sure that the outer districts knew that rewards would come with being loyal to the capital let the citizens of the career districts visit each other. So citizens from districts 1, 2, and 4 can visit each other. A trio of best friends came from this new rule. These best friends were Emerald Jade from 1, Selena Kentwell from 2, and Marina Rowe from 4. So yeah, guys, if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this one, slap the like button. As always, stay awesome. Goodbye!